Hey, Joe, he's back in the back. Tell him, try to have a heart.
Hey, hearts. Hearts line. Hearts. Heart. Fred Bartholomew.
Fred! Get over here. That's what it is.
Does anybody need a program before we get started? Has everybody got a program? Dad will pass you out. Hey, D, would you come pin Fred? I might stick the pin in.
Must have been that road that turned beside the apartment there.
That's what we said. Hey, let me tell you, they both, these two right here is old time buddies. They both take me to come here. They both take Brendan down and go tell
Goes back over to Joe.
These two are travel buddies with Fred. And I'm going to tell you, this guy paid me $350. This guy paid me $450 because he's older. They got stuff. Okay, you can't hear me very ill. I'm going to turn this on. I don't think you can hear me if I got it.
Joe, why don't you get Mike on? That's why we got it.
I want to make a kind of a breaking announcement. We've been infiltrated. I'm telling you, we've been infiltrated. I saw some red shirts out there in the cars, and they were putting on regular clothes from Moorhead, trying to get in here. Now, we stopped a couple of them, but now there were some in green, too, the Sea Dogs got in here. This is a bad place for them. They didn't like us when we were playing, and I'm sure we don't like them today. So I want the men to sit close to the women, hold their hands. They might get exposed. Okay, first of all, I'd like to say this. I want to thank all of you for coming out and celebrating, or not only celebrating two mighty fine people, especially Miss Salt. But I want to also thank you for coming out because you are the memories of Smyrna. And the people that we went to school with, we're going to be able to celebrate this. Now I'd like to thank also the committee members who've helped me. This takes a lot of effort to go in, and Fred would not have been worth it. So what we did is we added the rows. We just didn't want the form in it, so we wanted to give a tribute to Miss Soller so people would come out. But the real thing I want to thank is to all the people who helped me get this organized and together. It takes a lot of stuff, right down to this morning at 11:35. And this is full-time effort. We took 4 months to get this together with a lot of people's help. Let's look at the food. Our women, down these women, if you agree with me, I want you to tell me. But they are not only the prettiest women, they can play basketball, softball, tennis. They can take kids to the baseball practice. They can do just about anything. They can try to keep the men straight. And if it wasn't for them, who in the world would we have to blame? Now today we're going to have some revelations here. I mean, I didn't want to tell you this. Royce, I didn't mean to get you and Tommy involved with this today. But we're going to come clean. These kind of reunions down here, down east, we confess. Matter of fact, we have what we call rules down here of these events. And the first rule is, I personally get 6 take-backs. If I happen to say or a cuss word or something like that, I get to take that back 6 times. Now anything over that, I put in $100 over 6. But now I also get one, since this is a high school celebration, I get one take back of things I wish I hadn't done in school. Now, we're all ears when the women want to talk about that. I'm going to start it off. There was one guy, Mr. Reed Sparks. He encouraged me in general science in the 9th grade. I wasn't that smart to start with. And he encouraged me to push Mr. White up against that static machine. Mr. White proceeded to kick me out of the class, put me in another room all year. Now I've regretted that, and I'm going to confess to that. So I get to take that one back. Now, if you guys got any more about boyfriends or anything you want to talk about, we're, like you say, we're all ears. So that's the only rules except for one. Now, in these events, we do not, Sonny Williamson knows this. He's traveled the circuit. We do not let the facts get in the way of a good story in down east. Now, they're all true, but the feast may be a little larger than the actual landing. But it's still good eating. So keep that in mind when we go through this. I'd like to call on at this point Mr. Johnny Van Willis to give us the invocation.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we give you praise. We give you honor this morning for your grace that has allowed us to come here for this reunion. Heavenly Father, today as we recognize our teachers, and not only have they done in the school, but what they've done in the community and in our county, and everybody that they've touched. They have set a good example for those that they have come in contact with. Heavenly Father, we just thank you again for this place that we can gather today, where old acquaintances and new ones can be renewed. Now, Heavenly Father, bless the food and be with the rest of the service. And all these things we ask through the beloved name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thanks, Frank. I want to pause just a minute. Think about something that's been happening to us over the last 17 years in Carter County, especially down east, but really impacted the whole county. Started off as a dream about 17 years ago, right here on the Harker's Island. And today, that dream is almost a reality. Now, in 2005, January of 2005, they asked me to put on a Joe Boyd Willis baseball more than a game. And they wanted me to talk about 4 people that all of you know. And I looked at those people. We knew those people. 4 of them, they played ball their entire life. From the time they were in grade school. But they were involved in every team, every semi-pro team. They coached and mentored hundreds of boys. Well over 150 years between the 4 of them. You can't tell their story by just picking up a few articles. We had 60 days to put a plan together for the first reunion. That reunion, we were able to collect from 50 interviews about 250 pages of information. That's all we could get. Very few pictures at that point. Today, from January till now, 50-something months later that I put in this, we have, I'm glad to say this, and I don't think a lot of people understand this. You can sit down in this museum, and hopefully when they open up in a couple of weeks, you can sit down and read about everything you've done in high school, game by game as if it was played last week. You can look at pictures of the people who you played against and read about what they did game by game. You can look at those from 1923 through 1965. And if you want to look at pictures of baseball, basketball, football, softball from East Carteret, West Carteret through 2009, you can do that as well. If you just want to look at pictures, you can do that. We've got videos of more than 20 to 30 major individuals throughout the county that we have videoed. We have had audio of many more. We have got over 8,000 pages of pictures and game-by-game activity with statistics, averages, and so forth of just about any members that we could put together. With that in mind, one plug for the museum, as far as I'm concerned, and that is they were here to document and preserve kind of our way of life. This is a good place to do that. So I just would like to say, if you're not volunteering and you aren't a member, tell them you demand that, because it's your heritage. Now I'd like to skip over and talk about what the agenda is today. And that is this. We are going to first, so you can budget your time. I know some people are older and they may have to leave. So we put the overviews of Mr. Bartholomew and Ms. Salter up front. We're going to do the tributes. We're then going to go through the tributes on the women's basketball teams, because we've got a treat for you today. We've got some people here from 1933 who played on those championship teams in 33 and 34 that can still remember. I can't remember my wife's name since I've been gone a week. So now the good thing about this is that we have got a lot of stuff to cover, and we're going to be moving pretty quick. So the older people are going to have to listen. You need to do like this. And if I need to turn this up, we will. And the other speakers will do the same. But we're going to, there are really a few things I want to keep in mind. There's been bets laid down that we won't be able to finish this. That's not the intent. The intent is to make you aware that we have got this here in-house for you to set down. Go into the library, and if the vision ever comes here where you can walk through, you can hear it, you can see it, you can read it, and if you don't like it, you can sit out on the porch and rock in the swing back and forth. And think about the fish houses that used to be down the shore. Think about the boats anchored after a long night's haul. But the good thing here is that the intention is not to cover everything, but give you an overview, making sure that you know who to thank and appreciate for. And we're going to bring out some regulations here. We're going to put Mr. Parkins at the end, and if we still got time, we'll cover and stay here until you guys get tired of us. First of all, we got some business to go with Mr. Bartholomew. There's no question. Linwood. And one of the things I forgot to thank, not only the people who cook, but the people who also helped me with telephones, emails, and research and so forth. But I want to thank my organizing committee, Doug Dammer, Jonathan Willis, Linwood Parker. Had it been for them, I wouldn't have been motivated to get it. I had to call them sometimes in the night. Said, I'm not sure what I'm doing. They said, no, you'll be all right. But I want to thank them. But the fact is that Mr. Bartholomew, we spent a lot of hours, if you think about it. He was very inexperienced when he came. Just graduated from East Carolina. Took one in marketing courses. I'll show you an example of that from East Carolina. Worded stuff so you couldn't be wrong. But we'll see what it is. But he was inexperienced, there's no doubt about it. Matter of fact, Royce and Tommy was telling me he's inexperienced now. But basically, we'll figure it out going through this. But you're going to be the jury. We're reversing the rules today with them. We need to find out that we get our investment back. It's about time to see that. I mean, don't you think, Tom Davis, don't you think it's time to see if we got investment back? Tommy's an auditor. He looks like an auditor. He's going to certify at the end of the day whether we made it. The other thing we're going to do here, we're going to reverse roles with Miss Ann Salter. I don't know about you, but I got tired of putting my head down, holding my arm around my head so I couldn't peek through it while she was reading Edgar Allan Poe. Hey, what is with this? This is a lady studied drama 4 years. Almost made it to Broadway, and she didn't want us to watch her. Beautiful woman. We're going to get down to it today. There's some revelations here. She tipped her hand a couple of times when I was interviewing her. I got to tell her, I didn't want to ask Miss Salter, but I'm going to start asking questions. The women basketball players asked me to ask you. I didn't want to. Okay, so now we're going to change that. Now, this next one, Sonny, I tell you, I'm all over this one. We blamed our fathers for the way we were. Hard-headed, competitive, stupid. However, we may find out today that wasn't right. That may only been partly right. Who set the bar for us to shoot at in the competition? Who encouraged us? Who wrote the pep songs? We're going to find out some things today about women we may not want to know. But Willie Willis goes to see a psychiatrist all the time. All the psychiatrists want to talk about is his mother. And he didn't know why. I'm going to tell him why today. We're going to find out. And it's going to be short. And when we celebrate the women, we're going to figure out why. First of all, I want to cover just a little bit about Fred and his days at Warrenton. He went to Warrenton. He lettered in 3 sports. He was all conference in baseball and football. He received a scholarship basically from Clemson, Wake Forest, accepted one at Lewisburg, where he played baseball and basketball. He said he was good, but it's not verified. Now, he transferred to East Carolina, where he majored in physical education, and later he got his master's in educational administration there. At East Carolina, he met Dee Ballou. These men, I don't know, but they might tell us why in the world she married. There might have been alcohol and age has to do with it. I have no idea. And a big ring and $500,000. I'm not sure, but I've heard rumors. I'm not saying anything. Okay, but he's been married now 49 years. How she's put up with it, we couldn't put up with it but 3 years when we were in school. So, I mean, how she's done it. Now, she might confess this. She's had 1 drink. I give her one when she got here to calm her down. She might confess. So, we're all ears, Dave. We want you to. You're amongst family and friends. So, you say anything you want to. You get down here on this end, put them in the middle. Okay. So, with Fred, in 1960, he started student teaching at Smyrna. And from that point on, I think both of them fell in love with Smyrna, and he went on for the next 4 years, basically to make a significant impact on Smyrna's sports and in the county. In 1961, when I first got to meet him, was in the summer when he coached Pony League, and we won the championship that year. His record was 13-1. He had some good boys, though. It wasn't much of a coach, but he had some good boys. In 1963, the championship baseball team, I had a record of 10-3. We lost 1 conference game that year. He was baseball coach of the year. In 1964, he had won a basketball championship, and that record was 25-5. He was basketball coach of the year. He was principal and initiated football in 1964-65 year. He taught physical education, general science, health, PE, economics, sociology, and driver's ed. Now, can I stop and just tell this one story about a lady on the island? I don't want to mention any names about Eileen Rose. You can't tell me nothing. But we all knew she couldn't get her driver's license. Here comes Mr. Bartholomew with patience. He said, I'll teach her. So she took driver's ed and I declared she was making it. And he was getting right down to the last thing, parallel parking. Well, Fred's got long legs, and in that driver ed car, you got brakes and clutch on both sides and so forth, so he had to put his knees up like this, and he couldn't get out the door, so when she parallel parked, she done pretty good. She was passing. So he wanted her to get out and check, see how she's done. So all excitement, she jumped right out of the car. Forgot to take it out of gear, put the parking brake on, anything like that. Well, those brakes clutch hit him right on the shins. Tears coming down his eyes. Eileen was hollering, scared the car was going to hit the wall. Fred looked up with water running off his cheek and wiped his cheek like that, and he said, hold him. He said, if you ever get your license, you come to my house and let me know. Because I doubt if you ever will. That man had patience. 15 years later, she got her license from Montgomery Ward for $25. Came to his house and told him. He still don't believe it. But Fred, we enjoyed having you at Smyrna, but let me tell you, this day is just beginning. We haven't even started with you, so this is just a highlight. This is the good part. Next is Miss Salter. And Miss Salter grew up native, and this is the rose part. That was the thorn, obviously. But the Miss Salter, who started teaching back in 1939, grew up in Goldsboro. Her mother was Little Ipa. She was of Swiss family descent who came here in 1710 with her family there in the Grafford region. Her father was Allen Cower, a native of Lenore County. He was a railroad man. His English ancestry name comes from the name Cowherder. In French, that same name is translated in Bouvier, which is like Jackie Kennedy, Jackie Bouvier Kennedy. Her father was a railroad man for 50 years on a usual run from Goldsboro to Beaufort. He was actually a crew member of the first run from Goldsboro to Beaufort in 1907. He was a conductor on the last run from Moorhead to Goldsboro in 1950, March 31 of 1950. She was educated in Goldsboro public schools through 11th grade. She was involved in publishing the school paper, in debating team. Can you see her debating? Absolutely. She said debating was as popular there then as sports were, as it was also in Smyrna. She also was educated at Meredith College. This is where the interview got interesting. She said it was an all-girls school, no boys around, all work, no play. Now, Limwood told me, he said he don't believe that. I mean, obviously, he's old enough, been around. But I believed it, obviously. Yeah. But then she took a left turn on the interview. There was no boys, all work, hard play. Just all work, no play. But then she said, man, there were men all over the place. Buses, Wake Forest, Carolina, Duke, travel, bring them on back. Then I didn't want to go there. You know me, how sensitive I am. I didn't want to ask any questions. But the women made me ask you a question today, Miss Sullivan. Can you tell us a little bit about that girls' school? And if you want to confess or anything, you go right ahead. Carolyn, you put your hands over your ears.
Mrs. Simmons, as I said, was a Met teacher. Ms. Cordova taught English and French. I taught English and American history. Mr. Townsend taught math at the time, and then later on, Mr. Lloyd Pickett, so I read him some of the notes from the class of 45, but he taught science. Reginald Moore from Marshallburg taught civics for a while. So we were a small faculty, and of course we didn't have for many, many years.
But they all lived in
We lived in the teacherage, yes.
And did they cook? Did somebody cook for them?
Oh, yes, we
You
had
had to pay for your food
I'm glad
and
you
stuff?
asked, because my Aunt Lucille was a good cook and a matron first, and then we had a little lady, Biddy Brown, from Pine Level that came to teach, to cook for us and keep clean for us. We ate wonderfully well. I made $96 a month, and then paid some college debts back off of that.
And you were bringing it in.
We didn't have cars. I used to jump in the truck cab with Mr. Willie Dale, who was the oil man who would stop across at Mr. Everett Willis's, and I forget the other one's name right now. But anyway, to get the bus out on time, though we had transportation, seashore transportation bus, but it wasn't always coming through when you needed it. So he often took me to Boca to catch the bus home or wherever I wanted to go. Mr. Gaskell, of course, had a car. But we had all outdoor restrooms, as did Smyrna High School at that time. Had all outdoor restrooms.
Did everybody know that? I mean, about the teacher? I didn't know it. I think about 2/3 of us didn't know it. Some did know it. Some of them are older than dirt here, too.
Where does that put me?
Well, hey, this is a woman that called Fred just a youngster. Jim, he had the flu, and he said, oh, he's always complaining he's just a youngster.
We had a 10-heater in our bedroom. I was with Miss Sammy Adler at the time. Miss Ruby had her own room, Mr. Gaston, of course. And one day, Mr. Sammy taught French, backed up too close to the 10-heater, and the room didn't burst into flames, but it was completely scorched. And the first Thanksgiving that I was down there, I had to stay flat in the bed on the orders of Dr. Laurie Moore. I didn't get to go anywhere. And I had to be in a cold room. I remember I had something on my head. I had gloves on, and all the cover up below me. Well, my Aunt Lucille, the matron, stayed and tended to me. But they were great times in those days. We had a lot of fun.
I would appreciate you sharing it with us, Ms. Saul. We love you. I know that. Miss Salter, I'll tell you a couple more things about her. She didn't tell us the truth. She definitely stayed away from the way she was talking to me. I think there was more about men there than we saw. But I'm going to let it slide. I mean, we're not going to push it. We could, but we won't. But I tell you, Miss Salter fell in love instantly one night. There was attraction by both of them. Lionel Salter saw her, and he asked somebody who she was. At about the same time, she asked the person sitting to her who he was. About a week later, he found out a way to get introduced and start courting her, and they were married about a year later. That lasted 49 and a half years. 44 and a half years. I got it 5 times. 44 and a half. I told you about the fish story. But it's 44 and a half years. Kelly died in 1987. She had 2 daughters, Carolyn Mason and Barbara S. Yates. They had 3 grandchildren and 2 great-grandchildren today. I asked her about her profession, and she said, basically, as for a profession, I have never regretted my choice. I have always enjoyed working with high school students, as I remember my high school so very well. I felt enthusiastic about the subjects that I taught. On the whole, I can say that I have had good, respectable students, except for us. Once in a while, I would see the general love of learning shine in her eyes. I know she wasn't talking about our class. 2 of them, except for maybe Buddy Lewis or somebody. To a teacher, this is a real reward. The rewards of teaching has continued over the years as I see students in grocery stores and reunions and read about them in the papers and so forth about what they might have done. Though I have spent several all-nighters grading exams, reading and marking hundreds of papers, played for graduation marches, and toiled over many junior, senior banquets, I would not have it any other, or had it otherwise. Miss Ann Salter. We wouldn't have it any other way either. Miss Salter spent 16 years at Smyrna. She had Carolyn, and when she went back, there was no opening at Smyrna, so she went to Beaufort for 7 years. She spent 8 years at East Carter and 1 year traveling as a speech and hearing instructor. So for a total of 32 years, Ms. Salter, we want to thank you for being there for us. And I think the class of 1958 had it right. They said, as we approach the end of these guided years of work, before the unknown way before us, we sense the call and dedication to a person that has given so many years of unlimited service. We must pay her tribute, which she so richly deserves. Her high character and capacity for captivating spirit is implanted in the lives of the ones whom she has worked. Today, it's that with that same feeling and gratitude, all of us here want to thank you again for being here for us throughout the years. Thank you. Miss Salter, we want to see you at a lot of reunions. This is Miss Salter partying down. I'm telling you, it took 3 of us over at Linwood's house to try to control her, but when she, you know how it is when you get around dancing and music. But the thing that I want to warn her about, she might want to go with somebody that might protect her more. She was exposed to Willie Willis. He found out that she cuts her own grass still. He hollered across the room over there and said, Barbara, I'm leaving you. I'm marrying Miss Salter. So just be careful at these reunions. At this time, I'm going to bring up a young lady that I had the privilege of teaching, and I almost ruined her. Let's face the facts. I came close to ruining her, but she somehow got out of it. But she got her bachelor's degree at UNC Chapel Hill. She went to East Carolina, got a master's in elementary education, master's in school counseling, certificate in school administration and curriculum. She stayed there about 25 years, getting all these degrees. Joined the part, then she had to go to work, come back to work in 1976. She taught. She was a counselor, assistant principal in all areas of the county. She took, in 2007, she was named Assistant Superintendent in Instruction. She was appointed to serve 6 months as Interim Superintendent in 2008 through April 2009. She continues today as the Assistant Superintendent in Curriculum Instruction. But I'm going to stop this a second because I remember 2 people that have affected my life, and it has cost me a lot of doctor bills over the years. When I first started teaching at East Carter, this is what I saw. Now, they were, no doubt about it, as freshmen in high school, they were intent on proving that they could succeed and were capable of leadership and responsibility. They had that. They also they cooked more hot dogs for us to raise money in the 1970 Coast Championship Baseball. We made them members. And that her traveling buddy was Karen Willis and Packer. And basically, I would say that they had that love of learning, Miss Salter. I try to teach these girls and keep them busy because if you take a look at them, they've got more than one look. They've got that look of learning. I tried to teach them 2 years of math in 1 year, and that didn't keep them busy. I believe I could have done 3. But I stepped out the room one day for Principal Walker Gilligan. For 87 to 90 seconds, okay? Now, they've been accused, and this is an open case, of the Applegate girls at East Carter. The investigation is still ongoing. We didn't have DNA to prove it, but they super glued my apple that one of the students that gave me to my chair. I had carried one of those molasses sandwiches. That's all I had that day to eat. I mean, a light roll. Well, I was going to eat that later as dessert. I had to eat that going around that desk like a chipmunk. That was embarrassing with 30 people looking at you. But I'm hoping not only will we get a tribute to you today, but we also will get a confession or an implication of a cohort. So we'll sit. Miss Janie?
Well, it's taken a long time to get the real truth, and I was tickled to death to be able to come and honor you folks. But now that I know that you had something to do with him, I really should take these away. Because anybody trying to learn math from this man that you can't tie down to anything, and math is a finite subject in science, and he says it may be true today, but tomorrow it won't be true, or it'll be different. I'm not sure of the impact that you all had on this man. So all the nice words that I was going to say, I've had to change sitting there after I hear the stories. Joe, I just want to let you know that Miss Ann, when she came to East Carteret, we continued to have to put our heads down. When we walked in the library, we did this when we walked in. So, and we didn't dare say a word. But we love that library, Miss Ann, and we thank you for all your dedication. I say that education and teaching is a mission field beyond any mission field of the impact that we have on students, and many times we don't know that impact. And now Joe's another story, but we'll, So I just greatly admire anybody that chooses that as a field, and it is so much fun to sit there and listen to the days of the teacherage and how these young teachers came out of school and went to those, and it's my how things have changed. But it is with a great deal of pleasure that the Carteret County Schools wishes to recognize each one of you, and I will start with Miss Ann. In special recognition of Ann Elizabeth Coward Salter, 1939 to 1974 Public Education Service, this is a special tribute to Ms. Salter's dedication to teaching and mentoring students at Smyrna High School for 16 years, at Beaufort High School for 7 years, at East Carteret High School for 8 years, and an instructor as a Down East speech and hearing teacher for 1 year. And this is presented by our school system and signed by Dr. Dan Novy, our superintendent. But it's a pleasure that I get the one to be here today.
Yeah, can we also get up and make sure we
And Mr. Bartholomew, the only thing I say to you is, how in the world did we let you leave this county?
I got a story.
I was reading your bio several weeks ago and all of the information. I said, in Carteret County, we don't let people like this leave, especially if they have any kind of roots. And you did well in marrying a Carteret County girl, so I really think that we should be marked down for really doing a poor job in retaining 1961 to 1999. This is a special tribute to Mr. Bartholomew's dedication from 61 to 65 to teaching, coaching, mentoring, and leadership as principal of Smyrna High School, in addition for his service as principal for 34 additional years in North Carolina Public School, presented by Carter County Schools.
The next fellow I want to bring up is going to be a person that I probably knew of before I ever met him, and that is retired superintendent of Carter County Schools, where he spent about 30 years here in the county. I met his mother, who was as sweet and nice a 7th grade teacher as any bunch of young boys could have at Parker's Island. He's a lot like her, actually. He's not as smart as she was, but he's a lot like her. She was a lot prettier too, actually, come to think about it. But basically, Tommy has spent in Carter County 30 years. Prior to that, he was about 8 years as teaching and principal in Brunswick County. Tommy, I'd like to, at this time, if you would, make the tributes to Miss Salter and Fred.
Decides you're going to do something, he doesn't call and invite you. He calls and says, you will do this, that, and the other at this gathering. I said, good, Joe. So I am here to present an awards, Ms. Ann Salter, and I'm standing in for Jean Preston, our senator, and also friend. She has hurt her back and was unable to be here today. This is from the state of North Carolina. Be it known to all that the Senate of the North Carolina General Assembly congratulates Ann Salter for her contributions and commitment to education as a public school teacher and mentor at the Corsand Waterfowl Museum on Harkers Island on the 20th day of September 2009, and signed by the officials of the Senate, Mark Bassnight, Jane Preston, Walter Dalton, and Janet Brewer. And also have ones from the state of North Carolina Senate.
Speak in the mic.
That'll help, won't it?
Hey, Jay.
The North Carolina General Assembly congratulates Fred Bartholomew for his contributions and commitment to the public schools of North Carolina. Given this, the 26th day of September 2009 at the Corsand Waterfowl Museum on Harkers Island, and Fred is signed by all the dignitaries in the Senate.
assembly, both these last two.
This is a very special award in all of the state of North Carolina. It's from the state of North Carolina, given by Beverly Eves Perdue, Governor, reposing special confidence in the integrity, learning, and zeal of Anne Elizabeth Coward Salter. I do by this present and confer the Order of the Longleaf Pine with the rank of Ambassador Extraordinary, privileged to enjoy fully all rights granted to members of this exalted order, among which is a special privilege to propose the following North Carolina toast and select company in the free world. Here's to the land of the longleaf pine, summer land where the sun doth shine, where the wheat grows strong and the strong grow great. Here's to dang home the old North State, and it's signed by Beverly Perdue. Like I said, I think this is a tremendous honor too, Anne.
Nancy Lewis Piner was a teacher here with Miss Salter. She wants to say a couple of words about it.
I was one of the probably few people here today who had the privilege of being a student under Mrs. Salter and also teaching with her. She came to Smyrna from Beaufort the year that I was a senior in high school, and it has always been one of my deep regrets that she never taught me, because she was such a wonderful teacher. 4 years later, right out of college, I went back to Smyrna to teach, and if I'd had a spare moment, I would have sat in her world history class just to have seen how well you students who had her were very lucky to have had her. She was just wonderful. But I've got a funny thing to tell. I hope she doesn't mind. But anyway, you all were talking about dancing, so I want to tell this little story. I got sick one day at school, and Stuart Daniels was the principal, and of course y'all who had him know how deaf he was. He couldn't understand half that you said. So as a teacher, I went in and I said, look, I am sick. I've got to go home, and I need a replacement. And I think waves of nausea were coming over me, and I don't know why he got it in his head. He said, he thought I was pregnant. He said, well, can't you work 2 or 3 more months? I said, not today. So I went home, and when I got back to school in a couple of days, Ann Salter said, all the women, the teachers, Barbara Willis, Grace Wallace, Ann Salter, and I would sit in the home economics room because we had a bathroom in there. And I thought about what she'd been doing. She'd been walking up in front of that full-length mirror for months saying, I am getting so fat. And all I would see were those little legs, and I thought, how can she say she's fat? But anyway, when I came back, she said, sit down, I have something to tell you. So I sat down and she said, I have patted myself for 5 months and you haven't had a clue, but I'm pregnant. I'm 5 months pregnant. She said, and you're teaching home economics and it's never crossed your mind? I said, no, but I didn't tell her the real truth. Right out of college at 22, I really didn't think a 40-year-old woman was appropriately for Barbara Willis, her best friend, and for herself, when she had Barbara Ann and went to the hospital. And it was back in the days when My Fair Lady was so popular, and the song I Could Have Danced All Night. And of course, you know how musical she is. She hung a sign on her bed at the hospital that said, "I should have danced all night." I bet she's still dancing, and she reminds me of the Energizer Bunny, and she's going to keep right on dancing forever, we hope. And Ann, I love you.
We want to shift gears just a little bit here and just take you back down memory lane. Further than, I'll tell you, I was sitting by the computer not long ago, and I got this email, and I opened it. Contents of it was from a person I knew, and there was some information in it that just bowled me over. We've been looking for information about when Smyrna was first consolidated back in 1920s, 23, and there was very little information, very little facts, even in the 30s. This happens to be a picture that was in Jack Dudley's book, Portraits of Dan East, that I was able to get early on. And basically in that, Jack said that although academic achievement were primary, probably the most remembered achievements of the early years of when it was the winning record of girls basketball team. Beginning with the first school year, 1923-24 year, the girls team won every game for the 16 years. The first game were on dirt courts and traveled to other schools and so forth. Actually, they played probably on dirt until about 1934. And there's a little bit of discrepancy between this document and another document I found later, but doesn't matter which way you go. This is a bunch of winningest people I've ever seen. This is our stock that we came from. Now we're going to find out the power that these people had. The first team were six of them. There were three sisters: Melba Davis, which is Elizabeth Pickett's mother, Elva Davis, her sister, and Dolly Davis, Diane Taylor's mother, Ethel Fulbert, Rosebud Wade, and Verna Willis. There's a 1934 picture here that had Annie Lee Willis, I think there's maybe both names, Irma Kate Quinn, Melva Lynch King, Louis Piner, Esther Brown Valentine, which I had the privilege of staying in her home for about 2 years in high school. Apparently a great basketball player. To be frank with you, I had no ideas. That's how stupid we are growing up. We think we know everything, we have to know absolutely nothing. And you know what I'm worried about? We may not know nothing now. Miss Alder is older than us. She might feel that we don't know nothing. So, I'm worried about this, so we can learn from the past. So, when I look at this today, we have got a treat for you. I don't know if most of you know this, Jonathan, but we got the real deal today. We got two people, one from 1933 and 1934 and 1935 team here today to talk a little bit about us. Now, I've already interviewed some of these folks. I stayed on the phone till they hung up. They were so knowledgeable about traveling and how they traveled to games and who they'd be and how some of the teams would try to hurt them. Sometimes they played with one man short, broke the girl's leg, stuff like that. We got journals in these books. I'm not going to be able to cover all that with you, but there is books here that you can read in the 1930s and read about it, how these women traveled and so forth. I'm going to give you an example of a few of those. In 1923-24, these women talked about sportsmanship. They were ladylike, kissing people on the cheeks and stuff like that. Oh, can I help you, dear, after they knocked them down? They didn't go they were skilled people. They played basketball day and night. They played each school year. Like in class of the junior class played the freshman played the senior, they picked the best basketball team. They played all year round. They were devastating. And when other women who played basketball mentored them, in addition to their coach. Take a look at this, playing basketball. 8 out of 10 games, the opponent scored less than 5 points. No wonder they hated us in 1964. They still hate us, I believe. And be frank with you, we don't like them that much. But if you think about it here, we got this from a journal from Miss Mabel Davis. She was a writer. She kept notes on each game, how they traveled, what they ate, who was driving the boat, and all that stuff. And we'll read a couple of things to you. They not only played basketball, then they wrote poems about beating the people. Now that's a slap in the face. Let me read you one. This is good. Smyrna, they say, is not on the map. That's how city folks us do rap. We know it's not large, in fact, very small, yet we have girls who can play basketball. The girls from the city live by electric light. Their future looks so rosy and bright. But their best players, they brought their best players to Smyrna Shore, expecting to clean up with a wonderful score. They met on the battlefield, the girls at their best, and they kept the ball moving with very little rest. With it, when it was over, old Beaufort looked glum. Smyrna is a champion. She beat everyone. These people devastated these teams. And they talk about sportsmanship and how ladylike. This is our grandmother, great-grandmothers and stuff. Now let's look a little bit further from the journal. I'm picking one game. Every game is defined. And it's talked about Beaufort travel, who did what, who hit who, and so forth. It's very interesting reading. I read it 12, 15 times. This happens to be a game just to Atlantic, December 7th. I just picked one. Okay, she wrote, we left home at 10 o'clock on the Burnish Creek. This seaworthy craft was under the able command of Captain T.R. Bell and Charles Smith. We made a short stop to Davis where a few more passengers were added to our list. Here we also bought a supply of crackers, pickles, oysters. Oh, that might be a secret. Oysters, of which we were all very fond, especially Mr. Banks. I'm not sure who Mr. Banks was, might have been the coach. Who? Mr. Banks was the principal. He was tagging along, eating oysters. Okay, at one point, at 1 o'clock, we cooked and served lunch. We reached Atlantic at 3 o'clock. The game was scheduled for this hour, so we played immediately upon our arrival at the school building. So they got off the boat, went changed clothes probably, and played. This time, there was no lack of rooters in Atlantic. The game was full of pep, though rather rough. Atlantic was rough even then. We'd go up for a layup, we ended up in the yard. Ethel was hurt in the first quarter, so I assumed they played with 5 people. That was sad. Only 5 against 6. At the close of the score, it was 18-1. We departed Atlantic just as the sun went down. We served supper on the return trip. Then we sang songs and danced. We greeted Smyrna again at 8 o'clock. We all voted that this was a very pleasant trip. Beat them 18-1 with 5 players. That was good. Hey, then I think the way they did it, she didn't say this in the article, but I could envision it. Like the people when the ball was on the other end of the court, the other girls would be down here yelling. This is what they call their yells, like that would be the pep song. They say, rickety, rickety, rickety rough. What in the world is the matter with us? Nothing at all, nothing at all. The Smyrna's girls can handle the ball. On the diamond, we're no bluff. Beat us and you beat enough. That would make them mad. I'm so thankful to get this. Thank you for sending this to me. We're going to need your help. We're missing other years. We've got 23, 33, 34, 35, 39, 47. We have no 40s through 46. If you know people, get this information. This is unreal stuff. Get it. Get it to us. We're fortunate today to spend just a little bit of time with 2 people that are here. Could I see Bertha Chadwick